I was like, oh yeah, maybe I will open myself back up to something that could be greater and bigger. So that's when I found you online, and then I follow your Instagram, and that's when I found out about all the advocacy towards that for Tennessee and everything. And now it's like, it's this huge group that I didn't know I had, really, because I kept it so private and so to myself. And it was such a journey and a struggle that none of my friends went through. They either chose not to have children, or they're having children already. They already have children, and I'm an Auntie Allison, even though I can't be a mom right now. So it's just, I don't know, it just kind of opened my eyes to everything that's out there, and it is very relatable. Like all those stories, I joined Facebook groups, and just their stories are just unbelievable. Like sometimes I feel like mine's not good enough, or mine's not worthy enough, because these people have been through like hell and high water.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy how that messes with your head though? It's like, I'm going through this journey, but well, it's not that bad. So maybe I don't have the right to feel bad because I haven't been through what that person's gone through. Like it messes with you, you know?
Yes, it makes me feel like when you reached out, like even on an email, I'm like, oh Josh, maybe our story's good enough. Like maybe we're like worthy enough or something. I know that sounds, I guess, silly in my mind, or silly to someone else, but it
makes sense. I get it.
I feel very fortunate. I feel very blessed. We have a great life. We have a great house. We have a great puppy. You know, there's not anything that I'm not miserable. I'm happy. And, you know, if we don't get money, we'll be okay too. So,
yeah.
And we tried, and it's okay.
Tell me what you guys have done to this point. Like what started this whole thing?
Well, we got married, and that was the night we started trying to have a kid. Like we knew immediately, because we did get married later than a lot of couples. So we knew that we wanted to have a kid, and we knew as soon as, you know, the rings hit the finger, it was time to start tracking the cycle. It was time, you know, to start trying to have a kid. And we knew that because of our age that, you know, we were possibly going to have some difficulties. So our game plan was start at the very beginning, start day one.
And my parents had problems.
Yeah.
My parents struggled a long time. So it could be hereditary. They say it's not, but I honestly believe that it is. My parents tried for 8 years to have me, and they were third on the adoption list, and then they got pregnant, and then they actually had to be off the adoption list at Catholic Charities. So I'm the only child. But yeah, we just started trying, and about 6 months. Yeah, see, even the ones that I reached out to, I'm like, oh, you know, we've been trying for 6 months, and when we're in our 30s, mid 30s. And they're like, oh no, keep trying. I'm like, well, I don't want to wait like a really long time, so I need to like see somebody. So that's when my gynecologist told me about Dr. Montville, and we started seeing him and got all kinds of tests, and the science behind it is extraordinary. And then little low sperm counts, and I have cysts occasionally, and my AMH level is pretty low. I think it was at a 6 then, and it should have been at a like 1 or a 0.6, should have been at a 1.0. So it was discouraging, definitely. But he gave us some things to try, and we tried vitamins, and then he went to a urologist.
Yeah, I went to a urologist, and you know, had some more tests done, and then he led me to he put me on Clomid. And then we tried the Clomid, and that actually did help raise my counts to where they were low, but they weren't quite in the bad spectrum anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Which was good.
And then he found a lump.
Yeah. So then I had a fatty mass growing in that general area that I ended up having to get removed.
So that put us back a little bit further. And then we did try for an IUI.
Mm-hmm.
I was having some personal things go on at work. I think we had an arsonist at our childcare.
At your childcare?
At my childcare in Nashville.
What?
Yes, he came, and so we had a fire the day of the inseminate. Like, it was the day that we were like, we got all the tests and all the ultrasounds and everything like that. And my boss called me and was like, "Hey, the childcare is closed. There's a fire." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, on this day?" So I was just like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we kind of just knew it wasn't going to work. And I just looked for signs everywhere. I mean, we kept our hopes up. And so that whole next 2 weeks, I had to kind of deal with, I don't have a place to work. I have to clean up my place of employment. It happened in my room. He broke into a window in my room. So in my classroom, and it was a lot going on mentally and emotionally. We didn't know that they thought it was electrical, and then come to find out it was like for 2 weeks I had to testify. That's all going on, and then It didn't work. It did not work.
Yeah. And I even took time off work to go help clean up after the fire, because it was a lot of stress, and it was a lot of stress on both of us, but mine was all secondhand stress.
Yeah.
Especially when I thought it was the electrical fire, because then I was like, well, I really don't want you going back if.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and they came and checked it out, and everything's fine, and everything's fine now. But I think that I was like, oh, well, that's a sign. I was like, that is so a sign that I'm just gonna stop. And it was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It was, give or take, $4,000 probably for the test, all the ultrasounds, the blood work, the semen samples, all this stuff. And I'm just like, for that not to work, it was just, it was devastating. Yes. And I think that's when I just quit. I was like, okay, I'm going to quit. And because I think it was the emotional toll on me that I couldn't do. So on top of like my work being complicated and then that not working out, I think I just needed some time. And we definitely took time.
And yeah. I think so many people don't realize the mental aspect of it. They think just don't think about it, or just have fun with life and just enjoy not having kids and travel and do this, or, whatever it is. They don't realize that it literally follows you. Like, it follows you day after day, hour by hour. Like, it's not something you just forget about. You can't escape it. And I think it's that people don't realize the depression, the darkness, just so many things that you go through
every month getting your period. It's like, okay, this again.
No. And even every time you see a kid and you think about the fact, hey, I'm trying to have one of those and failing miserably. And she works in childcare, so she sees them all day long. And,
I love my job.
You can't avoid them. I mean,
right.
It's not possible. There's always a constant reminder of what you can't have, even though you're forking over tons of money for it. You're putting in the work, and you're tracking everything you can possibly track. And we even went to, go get a second opinion. We're like, okay, well, maybe, maybe he's not giving us all the information we need. Like, we're not, totally scouring the internet anyways on our own. So we even went to another doctor, and then he actually did lead me to a different supplement I could take. And I actually, between the supplement and, just getting a little bit healthier, I ended up achieving the same numbers with that supplement and a healthier lifestyle that I was able to achieve with the Clomid. So that ended up being really good.
Nice.
And I've tried acupuncture. I've tried yoga. I've tried all of it. All the things, eating pineapple and pomegranate juice and all those like different things that you hear on all the sites now. I've tried it. We definitely tried tracking it, and it's not happening.
Well, and the with the advocacy work we're doing, we talk to a lot of senators, a lot of representatives, we're just, and I didn't realize that the idea is still out there that this is a female disease. It's still it's still there, because most men truthfully don't talk about it. You know, they're if there's an issue, they and I get it. It's a very, you know, we think it's a hit to us, you know, when we can't do what our bodies are supposed to do. But, you know, I always think, like, from a man's perspective, that's got to be, you know, just a horrible feeling. And for us, we had both. It was female and male. But we talk to, you know, so many of the senators and stuff we speak to. It's, you know, those when we start telling them the statistics, and, you know, we had somebody say, well, my son shouldn't have to pay for this insurance, you know, so why should he have this insurance? And I was like, oh, we're still there. Like, we're still where we think this is just a female disease. And it's, you know, I mean, it's equal. It's a third female, a third male, and a third unknown. So, you know, when you have a man who's willing to say, here's what's going on, and I'm part of this, and, you know, and because I can look at somebody else and say, it's not your fault. You haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing, this isn't a disease you asked for. This isn't, you know, anything. But then I remember my own journey feeling like it was my fault. It was, you know, so.
Like, I tried everything. Why can't I?
Right. And you do everything right. And you know, so it's, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. And then you learn the things that you feel like you should have been taught earlier in life, which also kind of adds to some of the guilt. Like, I did not know how bad it was that I like to relax in a bathtub. But apparently that can affect, you know, my account for 3 to 6 months. And that's insane. How did I learn that at 36?
Right.
You know, it feels like you should know that. And then, you know, you've been doing that. So it's like, crap, have I been causing this the whole time? And you start getting super critical of everything you've ever done. Like, you know, one of the thoughts I had was because I work in IT, so it's not uncommon for me to have a laptop on my lap. And now I'm like, well, should I always be using a TV tray? Should I just get rid of the laptop? And you overanalyze it, and you find how it's your fault. And the simple fact of the matter is, it is what it is. Sure, there are things I could have done to make it worse, but really it's just kind of how the science worked out. But luckily there are things we can do. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover them, and they are crazy expensive.
Right.
It's
right.
buying a car for a try.
Right. And, you know, my husband used to say, if I knew if we spent this amount of money, we would end up with a baby, it would be one thing. You don't mind taking out a loan. You don't mind, you know, whatever it is, but we don't know, spending this money, what you're going to end up with anyway. And, you know, the people that would say, well, why don't you just adopt, which just grates on my nerves when somebody says that, you know, I'm like, that's not cheap either. I mean, that's $30,000, and
more.
So, yeah, so that's not an answer either. So, so I don't know. You know, we're going to keep fighting, and, you know, I feel like the more we can share stories of how it feels and what people are going through, putting faces to it. I don't know. I just hope it opens somebody's eyes.
Yeah. Me too. Because that's really what we want out of it too, is just, you know, somebody to relate to, you know, and hopefully Tennessee will change their laws.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we're so blessed. Like, we are blessed, and, you know, every little bit would help in that factor, but we can definitely give a baby a great life.
Yeah. And that's the misconception I think a lot of people have is, well, if this couple can't afford IVF, how are they going to raise a child? And I'm like, think about that. Like, think that through. What is, you know, can you come up with $15,000? Most people can't just write a check for that.
Right. Not without a small loan or something.
Right. But are they raising children just fine? Yes, of course they are. So, and I think when you know, I'm married in my mid-30s, you know, so it was the same for us. Like, day one, we started trying because we knew we married later, and I wasn't, hadn't found the right one and wasn't ready for that. And I think more and more people are doing that. You know, they're waiting, their careers are coming first, and, you know, they're putting more into that, and shouldn't be penalized for that. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. So, I don't know. When I went through it, I didn't know anybody going through it at all. And so I was just, I had nobody to talk to that understood it. And I finally found this group of girls online. There's, I think, like 16 of us right before my last transfer that we got the twins from. And we're still together. Like, we're all still, we've been through everything from donor eggs to childless to, you name it, somebody in that group has gone through it, and they are have always been my lifeline through it. But they don't live here. There's one girl now that lives here, but the rest of them don't live here. Now, we've all gotten together, we've all met, but just having somebody to talk to that actually understands it was, a big reason for Starfish too. It's like, yes, I want to raise money, and yes, I want to do this, but my cell phone number is on everything, because I want people to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody, that can relate at least. And with the advocacy stuff, like seeing this group explode the way that it has, I hate to say it makes me happy, because it doesn't. It makes me really sad that there's this many people.
So many.
But the flip side is the connections, that we're seeing being made. I just feel so good that those people aren't walking their path alone, So it's,
We live in Spring Hill, and the advocacy foundation that I follow now, I found 2 other people who live close to Spring Hill with us too. So it's really neat. I mean, you don't even think. They were like, so what city in Tennessee? Why not ask that? Yes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys talking about it. And I mean, we'll follow your story, and I don't know, give some advice. What advice would you have for anybody going through it or just starting?
For me, the best thing for me to understand was that it's okay to not be okay. Because like you said, guys won't talk about it. Like, they just straight up won't, because they instantly, it's like, oh, well, if you're having an issue there, it's like they equate it to your manhood, right? How much of a man you are. And it's science at the end of the day. It has nothing to do with your character, and that it's okay to reach out to people, because that's where you're going to get your help from.
Yes.
I mean, science is going to do a lot for you if you can afford it. But there's a lot of things that you can do that you're just not going to know about unless you talk to people. And it can't always be a doctor. And it would be nice if more of us would get together, and it would be okay for us to share, this worked for me, so that we don't have to all spend the same money doing the exact same research. Like, the supplement was significantly cheaper than paying for the Clomid, and I can get it without a doctor. That would have been a good piece of information I would have liked well in the beginning. And just, it's okay to not be okay is really what it all boils down to for me, because that's kind of the first place you go, is like, oh, this is my fault. I did this, and I didn't. It's okay. Other people have the same problem, and other people are going to have solutions that work and that we can share with each other. And it needs to be acceptable to do that. And I've got to that point now, but I definitely was not there for, first year, 2, maybe even longer than that. It was that deep, dark secret that you don't tell anybody.
There's a stigma about it. And, even my friends, when I told them, they were like, oh, they feel so bad for you. So I feel like it has helped me so much to connect with those people online that are definitely going through it. No, they can't be here. They're not in my shoes, but my advice would be reach out to something like that, because it has opened my eyes to what other people are going through. And also it's made me feel more human. Like, it's just made me feel like in a community where I was feeling distance, and, I feel much better now knowing that there's something like this. Yes.
I'm really, I'm glad to hear you say that. And I just know that, you guys speaking out is going to help, somebody else feel that exact same like peace, or just feel like that it's not just them, and they're, especially Josh, especially you. I mean, especially to have a man stand up and say, look, it is what it is. And I know this is how I felt, and I know this is how you felt, but it's not your fault, you know, at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with your manhood or your character, you know, and I think that's just, I think men need to hear that so desperately. So I think that's, you know, I really appreciate you both talking and chatting.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything you do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do love what I do. I also do have a $5,000 check for Tennessee Fertility for your next round of IVF,
Oh, wow.
if you would like.
Holy.
Surprise!
Oh my God. We get to do it. You're crying too. No way. Oh my God.
So we had a grant to give out, and then we have a.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hold on. I can't understand.
Yeah, baby. See? The dog doesn't know why we're excited.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Okay.
So we have a very special friend here who lost a daughter in a car accident a few years ago, and her name was Layton, and they do what's called Lay Day every year.
I know that story.
Do you?
I know this story. Yeah.
So this is the Layton grant.
Okay. Haley used to play ball with her. I know through my cousin used to play ball. They used to play ball together.
Wow, that's a
yeah.
small
Yeah, they have pictures. She's got like a yellow ribbon. Yeah.
So this is the Layton grant.
Holy.
And we are announcing it tomorrow because tomorrow is Lay Day. But I wanted to tell you guys tonight.
Wow.
I
Thank
am
you.
so shocked. I can't believe it. My mom's gonna be so excited.
She will.
I'm so excited. I can't get over this. Thank you so much. Who do I need to thank?
You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. We're going to follow you. Can't wait to see how this goes. We love TFI. We love Dr. Montville.
Oh, dude, he's fabulous.
You're in great hands. So.
Do this. I'm so excited.
Josh can move right now.
Oh my God. I can't wait to call my mom.
You go call your mom.
Okay.
We'll touch base later.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my God.
Thanks for talking.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
We'll talk to you soon.